Unfortunately, in a small town, there's not a lot to offer kids. So, the younger generation of kids like myself didn't stay. First of all, I'm dumb as a brick, too. I'm not very smart. So, going to university wasn't, really an option for me. I definitely needed community college as a stepping stone. Plus, I had no idea what I was going to do at all. Ironically, my teacher from Northeast, whose name is Donna Vaughn, had invited who used to be her boss from Memphis to speak to our class, who was the head of visual merchandising for all of the stores. And he was impressed with me and impressed with, the classwork that I had done, and offered me a job. And so instead of finishing school, I actually quit school and moved to Memphis and was given my own store of being in charge of the visual merchandising, which was way above my head. Needless to say, that job did not work out. I had met a girl that is still my friend to this day while I was in Memphis. Her name is Jane Pratt, who is one of the funniest people that I'd ever met. Very talented, wanted to be an actress. She said that she had read in the Memphis paper that the Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City was coming to Memphis to audition kids for their summer semesters. We concocted this scheme that we would audition for the school, which we would get into, which then would get us to New York, and then we would quit school, but we would be in New York. Jane and I both quit. Jane moved back to Memphis, and I was like, that's not an option. Unfortunately, housing was part of the school, so when I quit, they said, well, then you don't have anywhere to live, so I was homeless. I took my bag and I checked in a YMCA in Times Square, and I knew that I was on my own. I had like $30 in my pocket. I took my bag and I checked in a YMCA in Times Square. And when I say that, it's not what people, it's not even remotely close to like a Holiday Inn. I mean, it's like a jail. It was for transients. It was sort of homeless people and drug addicts. And, this is 1983, 1984 in New York City. It was long before Giuliani cleaned up New York. I walked in the clothes that I had on. I didn't have interview clothes. I just had, t-shirts and jeans for school. And, I think the woman, now I look back and I think that the only reason that I wasn't removed by security was probably the charm of being Southern. I'll never forget it. She took me in her office and I burst out crying and, told her the whole story and said, it's my dream to be in New York and I have to make it work. And she was like, where are you living? And I said, the YMCA. And, she said, all right, well, let's figure this out. And so, she just said, let's get a plan. I guess I figured, if I pulled off getting into acting school, I can lie enough to pull off seeming like I can do makeup. So I had the interview and they hired me. And I thought, how hard could it be? Someone walks up to the counter and says, I want this lipstick. I say it's $14 and I ring it up and that's it. It was either sink or swim. I mean, I was thrown in the mosh pit of the main floor at Macy's and, I had to figure it out. And so I started doing makeup just based on the little bit that I had known of having friends that were girls and my mom who wears very little makeup. And I had never played with makeup as a teenager in college or anything. I'd never thought about it ever, but was lucky enough to discover my talent. I mean, it was clearly my path and what was meant to happen. What I've learned as I've gotten older and certainly leaving here and traveling the world is that you take for granted what's right under your nose. I got lucky. I was lucky enough to be able to and continue to be able to do things that I love. People will say thank you for what you've done for Aberdeen. Trust me, what I'm doing here is not profitable. It's not like you see on television. It's not flip this house. I've gotten a lot of attention here because of what I've done. I mean, it's a little bit, I think, blown out of proportion. It's nice, and I don't take credit for it. If I can just be a catalyst of inspiring somebody, then that's exciting to me.
He has been an inspiration here, and he is one that started out. I think he had 15 or 16 houses, at one time, and he was buying them and just saving them. This is the kind of thing that starts, and it's a little bit contagious. If you fix up your house, and then to cause the neighbor, to maybe want to fix theirs up, and then on down the street, it causes people to take pride in their city.
From the time that I started this, from the time that I bought the first little house here, I have seen Aberdeen level off in what I thought was its demise and go way beyond that, with people, the community rallying together and refusing for Aberdeen to become a statistic, and doing what it takes to make sure that Aberdeen remains the great, beautiful town that it is, full of, very important, architecturally significant houses and buildings. And, we're doing a good job. I don't want Aberdeen to change. I don't want it to become, sort of a city. I love it the way it is. I love it with no red lights on Main Street. But, we have work to do, and we know that. And hopefully in 20 years, we'll all be around and be like, look what we've done. Look what a great job we've done.
For a copy of this program, call 601-432-6294 or send a check or money order for $14.95 to Mississippi Public Broadcasting, 3825 Ridgewood Road, Jackson, Mississippi 39211. Please indicate the name and date of the program.